He's saying we were too soft setting in the line. That is a schematic thing. Let's not run away with that comment now. Let's not go down running down soft street with that comment. Nick Saban did not call his offensive line soft. You are going to see this now, by the way. You're going to see this now in multiple places. Nick Saban said his offensive line was soft.
I think we're too soft setting in the line.
Setting in the line. We're in a full retreat right off the bat. Snap the ball, we're in a full retreat. That is a schematic issue. What he's saying is that they need to get that initial punch at the line of scrimmage and then begin their set. It's that first jab step, punch, boom, into your set. This line wasn't doing that. That's a coaching issue because they're all doing it. They're all just in full retreat. There's no initial punch. Full retreat. All right, so let's get off of that one. God, right off the bat. Right off the bat, I got to get fired up right off the bat. Coming off of an Alabama loss in which Texas not only outplayed Alabama, but in this case, they outcoached Alabama. They were more prepared. They didn't make the silly mistakes that Alabama made. The penalties are back. 10 more penalties. Half of them brain-dead penalties or Terrion Arnold grabbing somebody. Has anybody ever run around on a pass route that Terrion Arnold didn't want to reach out and grab? I mean, this kid, I said this last year with this kid. This is amazing with this kid. You know the old saying, if he's even, he's leaving? With Terrion Arnold, if he's even, he's grabbing. I mean, that's what he does. He reaches out and grabs the guy. They could call him 5 more times. All this kid does is reach out and grab people. 3 holding calls on him, one of them which was on a punt return. Reach out, grab a guy. I mean, this is a guy that needs to, in practice, wear boxing gloves. That's what we used to do back in the day to get him to stop grabbing. We'd put mittens on them, boxing gloves on them. So, okay, cover a guy with boxing gloves on. So you can't grab them. Just cover them with your body position, your feet. This was not a team that was ready to go. And this is an offensive scheme. There was zero creativity in the play calling. I mean, it was. I thought that was, at the middle game. Well, they must not have wanted to show anything. Apparently, they didn't want to show anything in this game against Texas either, because their play calling, you look at the play calling by Texas, and you look at the play calling for Alabama, it was pedestrian. It was predictable. And you know what it didn't do? It didn't play into Jalen Milroe's talents. That kid needs to be on the perimeter. You can run that kid out there, you might as well run option. Because he's not sitting back there making a good decision as to who to throw it to and then putting the ball in the right spot. He's not even seeing guys. His 2 interceptions were both, they were high school interceptions. They were ridiculous. That dude needs to be on a roll. He needs to you need to run a freaking option with him if that's what you're going to do. None of this is in my notes to open the show. Let me get back to my notes. To open the show. Now they're playing music on me. They want to end the show already. Look, Saban said it. He was close to pulling that kid and making a change. And then they had the drive where Milroe puts them ahead 16-13 at the end of the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter. They had that drive. And so it kind of changed right then and there. The defense just totally collapsed then against a quarterback who's not known for throwing a ball downfield. Coming into the game, Quinn Ewers was completing 22% of passes 20 yards or more down the field in his career. 22% of passes 20 yards or more. He averaged 7 yards per attempt on passes of 20 yards or more. Had not thrown a touchdown pass. He had thrown 3 interceptions on long balls. Against the Tide on Saturday, he hit 3 out of 5 for 2 touchdowns and averaged 21 yards per attempt. And it wasn't like he had to, did you see him drop that ball in there so perfectly on it? No. Guy's running wide open. Wide open down the field. Wide open. So now we have to look at the big picture for the Tide. They have lost any buffer that they had to get into any playoff. Playoffs? You're talking about playoffs? Playoffs? They basically have to run the table. They have to win the SEC championship, and they have to win the SEC championship with one loss. They have to run the table. I got to be honest with you, because if you think this year a second loss, an SEC loss, combined with an SEC title will get it done, yeah, in most years, maybe we've never had a two-loss team in a playoff, in a 14 playoff. If you think that they could drop a game to LSU or Tennessee and go 7-1 in the SEC and then go beat Georgia and then get into the playoff at 11-2, I don't know. I don't know again in this SEC. I don't think it gets it done. In most years, maybe. But given the struggles, because we've never seen an SEC champion with two losses get turned away because we haven't had one of those in the playoff era. But given the struggles of the league this year in non-conference games against P5 opponents, it doesn't look good. They've played 9 games, the SEC, against Power 5 teams, and they are now 3-6 in those games after Alabama, Texas A&M, and Vandy lost. As you say, well, Vandy always loses. Well, it was Wake Forest. I mean, he should be able to beat, No, they got to get blown out too. Texas A&M blown out. Alabama, for all intents and purposes, blown out at home. While Ole Miss and Auburn scraped by for wins. I mean, Auburn needed a fourth quarter touchdown to win by 4, and Ole Miss pulled away late after struggling for a while with the Tulane team without their star quarterback, Michael Pratt. I don't know that Ole Miss would have won that game if Pratt was playing, although he doesn't play defense. Tom Lugabill, ABC and ESPN, was on that game. He's coming up with thoughts on the entire college football Saturday, plus he'll have Florida State this week. The NFL got going yesterday as well with some stunning results. The ease in which the Browns shut down the Bengals and the Cowboys blowing out the Giants. The Packers still own the Bears. From what I saw, I'll be totally honest with you, Jordan Love is better than Justin Fields right now. All this Justin Fields this and Justin Fields. Right now, from what I saw, Jordan Love, I'd rather have him than Justin Fields. Turning the ball over left and right. And the Falcons pulling away for a win against Carolina, intercepting Bryce Young twice. Look, I said the Falcons are the team to beat in the NFC South. I still feel that way. However, the Bucs going into Minnesota with Baker Mayfield and beating Minnesota was impressive as well. And speaking of impressive, how about Tua Tagovailoa with 466 yards in a huge home game in Los Angeles? A home game for the Dolphins in Los Angeles. Did you hear that crowd? Are you kidding me? And once again, Justin Herbert just seems to be missing something. I don't know what it is. He's missing something. It's hard to put a finger on, but he just never comes through when needed. I mean, it's just not just him. I mean, he got sacked twice when he had a chance to take his team down and win that game. So good job by the Dolphins in that game. Paulie in the Cape and the Phillip got to be very happy today. They got to be feeling pretty good, and I'm happy for them. Phone lines are open. I say that they're open, and I'm noticing now that they're kind of loaded up. But phone lines are open, 256-576-4977. Text the show, too, 732-9TA-SHOW, 732-982-7469. Great way to communicate with us. Why is Wolverine Dan coming in? He can't be coming in because of his team's lackluster win over UNLV. Look, we know nothing about the Wolverine. We know nothing about Ohio State. I need you people not to don't get all caught up in the polls. Because we don't know these teams that are playing these super cupcakes. I'll be honest with you. We don't know anything about Georgia. We don't know anything about Georgia. We don't know anything about Ohio State. We don't know anything about Michigan. They're just playing cupcakes. Alabama would still be ranked number 3 if they were playing those kind of teams. What we do know is Texas is better than Alabama. What we do know is Florida State is better than LSU. That's all we know. If you look at the top 10, we don't know nothing about anybody else except for that LSU is not as good as FSU and Alabama is not as good as Texas. That's all we know so far. Everybody else is just playing cupcakes. They'd all be 2-0. LSU would be 2-0. But they played a tough team. Station's X feed is 97.7 ESPN. Mine is at Thom Abraham Show. We are on Facebook at 97.7 ESPN. You can get a link there to our YouTube channel, WZZN TV. You can go to 977ESPN.com, our website, and get links to all of that stuff, and get our app, where you can find links to Zone 2, 3, 4, and 5 as well. All our alternate streaming channels for more great programming. No big slate of games coming up on Friday night. Now, before I take your calls, obviously being 9/11, we will never forget the attack on our soil on that day in 2001. It was my 41st birthday, and we all remember what we were doing. I tell my story every year. I was doing a remote at a McDonald's in Southwest Florida, ESPN Radio, Southwest Florida. I was doing a remote with 77-cent egg and muffins. Every Tuesday, we did Tuesday at McDonald's with 77-cent egg and muffins because the station was 770 ESPN. And you'd come on in and get 77-cent McMuffins. I was doing morning show, morning drive radio. And my producer came on, and I thought he was doing a funny bit. Well, he said, we got breaking news. He came on. We said, we had breaking news. And then he played a recorded piece where everybody at the radio station, we had like 15 people that worked at the radio station, and they were all wishing me a happy birthday, one at a time. Hey, big dog, blah, 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 blah. Happy birthday. 15 minutes later, he said, we got more breaking news. I said, yeah, sure. What's that? He goes, no, really, this is real. A plane has hit one of the trade towers. I thought it was a Cessna 150. We didn't have TVs then. There wasn't TV. Well, we had TVs, but we didn't have TVs in the studio, and we didn't have TVs at the McDonald's then. So we know nothing. A listener called in. He was watching it. He described it, and I stayed on the air for the next several hours, as did David Moulton. Moulton stayed on the air for 4 or 5 hours. I stayed on the air for 3 or 4 hours without a commercial. And then in the middle of the afternoon, ABC Radio took over all the ESPN stations, and we were off the air for 2 weeks. And it was awful. The only positive to all of that was the unity that our country felt. We were not divided then. We were united against an outside threat. And somehow we've ended up more divided now than I have seen in my 63-year lifetime. But we must never, ever forget that day. And we must never forget our military and our first responders, those that charged into those buildings while others were running out. And those that will do that for us today still, if needed. So to all of you in that field today, police, firemen, EMTs, whatever, we thank you for what you do, and we know you would do it again for us if called upon. So let's get back to the frivolous, silly, entertaining things we do here. Wolverine Dan was the only one to even hit the trifecta, and he missed the bonus. So he got 1 point on the board. Nobody else could hit it. Mr. Styles has tied me and beat the big dog. The only question is, are we going to go 2-4 or 3-3? Because we both have the Bills tonight, while Grizz the Greek is also 2-3, but he has the Jets. So he has an opportunity to pick up. He'll either fall another game behind, or he'll pick up one game on me. Well, speaking of him, he's back there in that little glass booth playing the Platters That Matter and Stacks of Wax and answering phones and keeping us on the air. DJ Grizzy Grizz.
Who in the blue hell are you? What is your name? Detective. It doesn't matter what your name is.
I'm the producer of this show. If I didn't step up, you're nowhere. I put this thing together out of spit and polish.
I think this is one of the traits of a really good producer. Keep the talent happy.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
Now, Tom. Hey, Tom.
Testosterone high today. Testosterone, whatever the it is.
It really doesn't matter what you think. All right? It really doesn't matter what you say.
Any of you play sports?
Grizzlies! How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm 1-0. It's 1-0. Falcons are 1-0.
Oh, Falcons are 1-0.
Yeah, Falcons are 1-0.
Yeah, the other team's 1-1. You know what I mean?
The other team's 1-1. Hey, Auburn's 2-0. My real team, Auburn's 2-0.
That's true. So. You are an Auburn fan. I forgot about that.
War Eagle.
I will say this. I was absolutely 100% positive that the Browns were going to beat the Bengals yesterday.
Oh.
Because, you know why I knew this? Because after the Bucs got hammered on Friday night, Buckhorn Bucks getting drilled Friday night, Then my grandson's youth team got shellacked 36-0 Saturday morning. I had to sit through that. Then Alabama. I mean, there was no way that the football gods were going to allow me to go 0-4 on my birthday weekend, were they? I mean, were they?
Yeah, it's huge.
Man.
Yeah, no, it's. I was excited because the Braves clinched the playoffs, and then you had in the same day, and then you had the Falcons win. So it was a good day to be an Atlanta fan for sure. It was really fun to watch this defense and what Arthur Smith and Ryan Nielsen's been able to do. I get it. It's Carolina. Their offensive line might be as bad as the Giants. I don't think anyone's offensive line is as bad as the Giants, but. It was
not last night.
It was
sure.
weird cheering against Bryce Young for sure. Being able to see him play on the field and cheering for him, playing at Alabama and everything like that. But, I think if he has an offensive line and they didn't get rid of DJ Moore, Carolina might have something because they have a really good defense. And I think they're going to have a different team when the Falcons go to Carolina later in the season. So
yeah, we'll see. There's no doubt about it.
That was a great way to start off 1-0. First time since 2017. So.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and they started 3-0, and then in 2016 they started 0-1, but then ended up going to the Super Bowl and then caving. But first time 1-0. They've gone 0-1 for the last 6 years.
As was predicted, I've eviscerated Brandon in our fantasy matchup. It's just so sad because I'm up. Well, look, I'm up 45 points right now, but he does have his kicker going tonight. He has a kicker and a tight end going tonight, so you never know.
27. You never. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen it before. Yeah, I doubt it. I doubt it, but I've seen it. I've seen kicker get 27.
Dalton Kincaid catches 4 touchdown passes, and the kicker kicks 4, 50-yard field goals. Then I might be in trouble. Probably not. But I told you it's really unfair. I did go with Trevor Lawrence, by the way, instead of Justin Herbert. Lawrence ended up with 21.5 points, and Herbert ended up with 22, almost 23 points. So I didn't miss they're about the same. So I didn't miss by much there.
Well, right now, I'm leading John Durr 104-91. I still have Stephon Diggs and the Jets defense to play, but he still has Josh Allen though. So Josh Allen I hope he throws everything to Diggs, but
Blitzkrieg is who you're playing?
Yes, that's John Durr. Blitzkrieg.
Okay. Yeah. Blitzkrieg.
I'm sitting pretty comfortable, but it's fantasy. Nothing's ever comfortable, to be honest with you. Unless you're up like 60. Then
what's the name of the Bandyman's team?
Brandon. I don't know. He's in the other league.
Oh, that's right. He's in the other league.
The Kitty Bombers is Brandon. Yeah, for sure. He asked about his team this morning.
I know that kid is. No, I meant Bailey. Bailey.
Yeah, Bailey's in the other league.
Bandyman. So Captain Cool is down by 16, but his opponent doesn't have anybody left, and the guy he's got left is projected to score exactly 16. So if he's got that Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
So if Garrett Wilson has 16, John will win his game. And that's the projection, is 16.
And if John had just started a tight end, he might have done better than Mark Andrews because he didn't play. But, Tyreek Hill got 44 for him. So, in itself, you can get away with that.
Hill?
Yeah, you can get away with that as long as if you don't. There's some weeks you just don't get points. Drake London got 0 and everything.
Brandon had Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow had 3 points. 3 points.
He should have played your boy.
Yards.
He should have played Watson. He had your boy.
Oh, do you have Watson on the bench?
Yeah.
Watson had 22 points. He played Burrow. Burrow had 3. You don't go against that Browns defense.
He's what is he, 0-6, 0-4, or 0-5 against the Browns now?
He is 1-5.
Okay, 1-5.
But listen, you know why? You know why? I've told this before. He's a huge Browns fan. Yeah. There's something internal. He can't do it. He sees the orange and brown out there. He sees that plain orange helmet, and he's like, I can't. His father is a Browns fan. Joe Burrow is a Browns fan. He's a born and raised Browns fan. His room was covered with Browns paraphernalia. He is a Browns fan. You can't be a Browns fan for 22 years of your life and then play for the dreaded Cincinnati Bengals and beat the Browns. He can't beat the Browns. He's 1-5.
Yeah, I could see that. If I was ever good and played against the Falcons, I would just keep throwing it to them. I'd throw them touchdowns to the Falcons.
So the Braves are up 1-0 right now on the Phillies?
Yeah, on an Austin Riley
inside the park home run. My God, what park was it? Yellowstone Park? What park did Austin Riley have an inside the park home run?
It's at Atlanta. It's at Truist.
Holy mackerel.
A small park like that.
All right, let me do this. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and bang these calls. Wolverine Dan, Paulie in the Cape. Paulie's got to be out of his mind. Jeff in the Borough. I'm not even sure what he wants, but we'll see. We'll do it next right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhsriserealestate.com.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Thom Abraham here for my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Philip Love of not only Eagle Insulation, now he represents Eagle Companies. Eagle through the years have added several companies to help individuals or builders through their construction renovation process. Eagle is known to represent quality, efficiency, and professionalism. Philip, I know you do insulation, but do you do masonry?
We do.
Do you do grading, erosion control, and dirt hauled off?
We do.
Do you do after paint, which includes shower doors, mirrors, shelving blinds, and bath hardware?
Yes, we do, Wes.
Do you do landscaping and irrigation?
Yes, we do.
So basically, Eagle can help you all along your process of building your house or doing renovations. So do you do plumbing?
We do not, Wes, but we can find somebody to do it.
Just give them time. They'll be there. Anyway, call Eagle Insulation at
256-755-1556.
Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Call Eagle today.
Thanks, Wes.
Do you have discomfort in your legs? Varicose veins can affect not only how your legs look, but how they feel. Symptoms of varicose veins include pain, swelling, aching, heaviness, and fatigue. Dr. Tracy Lowry of Best Vein Care of Huntsville can diagnose and treat your varicose veins with the latest minimally invasive techniques. Diagnosis and treatment is covered by most insurances. Call 256-715-7151 to schedule your free screening. Go to bestveincarehuntsville.com.
Forgiveness. Wow, what a word. What a gift. All of us have done things in our lives that we regret. All of us have done things that are disobedient. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Thank God for his forgiveness. Thank God that he separates our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. Check us out at cpcfamily.org.
This is Paul Feinbaum. Listen to me coming up today at 2. Now back to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Oh, God. Can you imagine what Feinbaum is going to sound like today? They'll be calling for Saban to be fired. Oh, it's going to be bad. Use the orthopedic specialist that pretty much every high school in the region uses. That's TOC Sports. Alabama A&M and Huntsville Havoc rely on TOC as well, but it doesn't have to be a sports injury. It could just be like a work accident, or maybe you're just breaking down a little. TOC has the right specialist for you. North Alabama's largest sports medicine provider is TOC Sports. Stay in the game with TOC Sports. Text window time, you've done the best job of critical analysis that I've heard all day so far. Reese called a terrible game given Milroe's skill set. Should have been a lot of zone reads, passes off play action, screens, and quick outs on the perimeter. There was a lot of wrong in other areas, but Reese called the game like Mac Jones was playing quarterback. Yeah, exactly. Reese called the game like he wants Tyler Buckner to be the quarterback.
It's like, please put him in.
He's like, I'll show you. You picked Jalen Milroe, I'll show you.
His fandom was showing right there when he was doing the game.
Whose?
Reese.
Tommy Reese. We're talking about.
I know.
Reese.
It was a joke.
Oh.
Yeah. You could see it in his face, though.
Tommy Reese called the game.
My gosh.
Like he wants Tyler Simpson or Tyler Buckner or Tyler Lonigan. All the Tylers in there.
The memes when
I know it's still in
with his hand on his face. I mean, it was just it was a bad look. Yeah.
Well, you know what? A lot of it's on him. But you know what?
Yeah.
Those guys don't play defense.
Yeah.
I mean, they should have showed Kevin Steele, too, getting shredded. And don't even get me started again on penalties. Now, let me go to the lines. Is this call screen still correct? Wolverine Dan is up first. Wolverine Dan, welcome to the show. How are you?
What do you mean, why do I call?
Well, because your team didn't do anything, and you already talked about the Lions on Friday, so I didn't know what you were calling for today. I wasn't sure.
Okay.
Although you did hit you did hit the 3 on the trifecta, so you got a point on the big board. Kramer hit it all. All right, got to give Kramer some love. Kramer hit it all, so he won the bad daddies. He got 2 points and is now taking the league with 3 points in the trifecta. So Kramer got it all. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, a couple things. Since you mentioned my Lions, last Thursday when we shocked the world, I believe my Tigers annihilated your Yankees 10-3. Okay,
that may be true, but they lost the series. They lost the series 3 games to 4.
That was a wonderful evening for me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But I will say, I left you messages, Tom. Check this out.
You did.
I love it. From now on, when Bama plays, I'm going to restaurants, not sports bars, because I can get immediate service. I'm the only one in the place. I felt like I was a king. I went to Corralejos. I even said it correct this time.
Yeah.
And I had a wonderful dinner with my wife and my little granddaughter, which likes cocoa, and everything in that restaurant is a cocoa theme. So I had a wonderful time. So from now on, when Bama plays, I'm going to Corralejos or a different restaurant, most likely Corralejos, because that's the best Mexican food in this town right now. I'll tell you right now. So
Corals, as you called it in your text, but yeah.
But yeah, I love it. So I don't have to watch the Bama game.
That's good.
And I get to have a nice dinner with my family. So I'm doing that from now on. It works wonderful. Speaking of Bama, I did happen to flip it on because I had a little money on the game. And, I saw a lot of things. And Judy's correct. I think your quarterback really should be almost like a wide receiver or running back because he's very fast and he's very talented. But I don't think he's your quarterback. I think you need to look somewhere else.
Yeah.
Unlike my quarterback for Michigan Wolverines.
Well, what do we know? What do we know?
Oh, no.
I mean, what do we know? I mean, all he's done is played against a couple of Sisters of the Poor. I mean, we don't know what he would have looked like against Texas. What if he was going against Texas? They'd have lost that game by 20 points.
His passing percentages is off the hook, and that's
he's playing nobody
like
yet.
That.
He's playing nobody yet.
I'm telling you, Tom, it doesn't matter. All right, so you're going to tell me I got to wait till what, the end of the year to play somebody?
No. Well, in your case, yeah, because the schedule kind of sucks. But you will see what they look like when they get down the road when they start to play Penn State. And now, let's see what they've got coming up. The next game that they play, that they'll be pushed it all in. Let's see. Now you got Bowling Green this week. Right? So you're moving up in class from UNLV to Bowling Green. So that'll be a tough one. Then you got Rutgers. Ooh, that's scary. Nebraska, at Minnesota. You'll have to play well. They have to play like a real football team there. Indiana at home, no issues there. At Michigan State, you know what happened there with their Mel Tucker has coached his last game. Michigan State's looking for a new coach. Mel Tucker is suspended, and he will never coach again, in my opinion. Mel Tucker is done. I'll tell that story in case you guys haven't heard that story. Then you got Purdue. That's a layup. You finish at Penn State, and then you got Ohio State after the Maryland tune-up. You got Ohio State at home. So, yeah, we won't know much. Okay. We'll know more when you go to Nebraska and Minnesota. We'll know a little bit more when you go to Nebraska and Minnesota.
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem: is that the collar's tightening around your neck, and the reason why is because now you have to win out all your games.
All the games. Yeah.
That's right. But now I always try to look at the bright side of everything, Tom. Hey, look at next year. You're going to be in the playoffs the rest of the year as long as you're on the face of this earth, Tom. Both of us. Bama's going to be in the playoffs because there's 12 teams. So don't get all upset. You might not make the playoffs this year, but next year and the year after that, you'll be in the playoffs every year. And so it's all going to be good.
It could be. They could be in it all the time. We'll see. We'll see how that works out. They're going to have to play better. I mean, it's not the end of the world right now, but you could see it from here. That's for sure.
Well, before I leave, hey, listen, I know last week Paulie was saying that he went straight up on a bet like I did, and I think Paulie is getting paid. All right, so
Paulie got paid yesterday. Yeah, I want to hear from Paulie. Let's talk to Paulie. Thank you for the call, Dan. I appreciate you. Paulie is in the K. Paulie made a couple of dollars yesterday, right, Paulie?
Money line, parlay, Dolphins in the over game, Dolphins in the first half, parlay. Yeah.
That's a good job by you. And your coach might be the best play caller in all of football. I'll tell you that right now. What he has done for Tua Tagovailoa, he has made Tua Tagovailoa $250 million, because if this kid plays like that this season, I mean, they gotta give him one of these deals where he's $270 million or something like that for 5 years. They're gonna have to do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that he did the throws that everybody said a year ago that he did do. You noticed it was in stride. They didn't have to really go back and wait for it. He bought time in the pocket.
Yeah.
Threw that rope right to him. I mean, come on. Other than, of course, the bat snap right off the bat. Yeah, going for if you're a Dolphin fan, you go through a whole range of emotions from they're going to score to now I got to get a money order to pay for my bets when he fumbled to oh my God, we got the lead to when he misses the field goal. I had to look for that bullet for that large caliber pistol I have somewhere when he missed
Easy
the
now. Easy now. It's not killing people.
Me? No, I'm talking about myself when he missed the extra point.
Yourself. Let's not get suicidal. No, we don't want to do that. No,
I'm talking about myself. But and suicide pick, cha-ching. I had to give
that was a ridiculous. That was a stupid suicide pick. That was a ridiculous suicide pick.
Yeah, kind of like that.
It's a bad
like
one.
The Chiefs and the Vikings one too, right? That bad, right?
Yeah. No, that's a bad one.
Hey, the Washington one. A lot of people picked Washington. They almost lost it, and Ravens didn't look too solid for a while until they started pulling away.
That was an easy pick, though. That they were going to win that game.
Yeah, go Dolphins, baby. Looking good.
Man.
And, of course, tonight we're going to find out if it's the Messiah lives in Manhattan or the Bills are still the beast in the East.
Yeah, I'm on the Bills and beat the big dog. I don't like the game. I would have laid off it. I mean, we pick it for beat the big dog because it's an interesting game, but I wouldn't bet this game. I want to see what this looks like with Aaron Rodgers in there for the whole game.
It doesn't get any brighter. The lights are not even brighter. Only tonight. Yeah. The magnifying glass, it's huge because, like I said, is the Messiah in Manhattan or the Bills are the team to still beat in the AFC?
Yeah. No, you're right. All right, man. Appreciate you.
Go Dolphins.
Do I got time to get Jeff in? Grizz? All right, let me get Jeff in here quick. Jeff, welcome to the show. How are you?
What's going on, Tom? I was going to say,
the Texas-Alabama game Saturday, nothing happened on the field affected that game. After last year, Texas knew they had Alabama beat, and they circled on the calendar. Their coaching staff, returning players, their fan base, they was coming to get Alabama. So it didn't matter what happened on the field that night. They were going to beat Alabama.
Well, it shouldn't. I mean, you would have thought that Alabama would have felt the same way. You would think that Alabama would have been,
They had them beat if they had knocked that quarterback out, and they knew they could beat Alabama when they played with them. But
you would think that Alabama would have played in such a fashion where they wanted to show everybody that they wouldn't have had them beat, that they wanted to show everybody that they would have beaten them. They didn't.
And one final thing, I love my apple turnover Sunday with the Titans. Apple turnover, Tannehill. I love it, man. I love it. Apple turnover. You got to love it. That's my favorite.
3 more
flavor.
picks.
Have a good one, Tom.
All right, man. I appreciate you. 3 interceptions there. Unreal. All right, let me get Brandon in here. We'll wrap up hour number 1. Brandon, welcome to the show. How are you?
Well, I'm thinking about renaming my fantasy team the Buckhorn Band uniforms at this point.
Yeah.
Because I am taking a whooping.
Yeah, it's not pretty right now. Of course, you played the wrong quarterback. You know, everybody knows you played Deshaun Watson before you played before you play Joe Burrow. But Burrow is awful against the Browns. I mean, it's just unbelievable. He's 1-5, and it's not even a good 1-5. His passer rating. He'd be benched if all he did was play against the Browns. He's awful against the Browns.
Well, I thought that he would have a good game. I really did. Wasn't really sure, but you live, you learn. Crap happens. So
yeah, you needed more than that, though. You had a lot of problems on that team.
Well, another thing too. Oh, we're only gonna give Jameer Gibbs 4 carries so he can figure out what it's like in the NFL. Really?
Yeah, because it's first time out. You got to be careful with a rookie like that first time out. You're not gonna just all of a sudden put him out there and he's gonna have 15 touches. You know, I think he's a guy that I think you set on the side for a minute and you wait and see what how they're going to use him. I would want to see him do something first.
Well, this whole situation is going on with Brother Milroe, and I will try to put this in the most descriptive terms. Greg McElroy said Milroe is a liability when it comes to seeing the field. Throws a good deep ball. His curve ball is he rolls right and runs to the sideline. He did that 11 times. He said they were waiting on it, and I don't think you can coach that out of him. That is
no. And the deep ball is the easiest. The deep ball is the easiest ball to throw. I mean, they're so limited because of his skill set. Like I got a text right here that says Milroe can't throw an accurate ball to the left side of the field 5 to 20 yards deep. It has nothing to do with scheme. It has everything to do with his skill set. Yes, it has to do with scheme. It does have to do with scheme. The scheme is that you're putting him in a position to throw balls to the left side of the field 5 to 20 yards deep. That's his. It's not in his skill set. You need to have your scheme built around what this kid does. If this is your quarterback, you need to have called runs for him, not just scrambles. You need to have play. You need to be on a perimeter all the time, and he needs to threaten to run all the time. I'd be running a damn option with him, all right? Because he's not a guy that's going to sit in the pocket. He looks at the rush, and then he doesn't throw it. He can't read an over/under route. He doesn't see defenders he's staring down receivers. The 2 interceptions were horrific interceptions. All he can throw is a deep ball. That's the safest ball to throw. Is 2 touchdowns, deep ball. Throw a bomb. That's all he can do. All right, Brandon. Appreciate you. It's everything to do with scheme. They got this kid in a scheme that doesn't fit him. If he's going to be your guy, do stuff that works for him. And by the way, is there a running back out there that maybe can do something other than threatening snapping off an 8-yard run? That's the other thing. I mean, there's no threat in their running game. Yes, they get some nice 6- and 7-yard hard runs, plotters, doing. But there's no threat. You don't feel like there's a threat of somebody breaking off anything of any length. It just doesn't feel that way. Tom Luganville is next on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. ESPN's Adam Schefter and Robert Griffin III are reporting Bills safety Damar Hamlin's not expected to be active tonight against the Jets on Monday Night Football. The 25-year-old is healthy as he continues his journey back from suffering cardiac arrest in the January 2nd game in Cincinnati. Hamlin played in all 3 of Buffalo's preseason games, was signed to the team's roster as a backup safety and special teams contributor. The much-anticipated Jets debut of quarterback Aaron Rodgers takes place tonight, 8 Eastern, ESPN, ABC, and ESPN+. The Manning cast with Peyton and Eli Manning on ESPN2 and ESPN+. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, among the NBA superstars interested in joining USA Basketball for the 2024 Summer Olympics, according to ESPN's Brian Windhorst. Steph Curry's also pondering an Olympic debut where he'd play for his Warriors coach, Steve Kerr.
From WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Thom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Sitting here with Mark Kent of Southern Fidelity Mortgage Group of Huntsville. Mark, do you help pre-qualify people?
We pre-qualify people all the time, Wes. As a matter of fact, I love having them coming in here because when they come in and they pre-qualify, they can leave my office knowing exactly how much they can buy and have no worries.
Mark, tell me about your rates and pricing.
Well, Wes, this is something we're really, really proud of. Long story short is, I love being able to provide the best pricing in town. Honestly, I cannot tell you the last time I lost a deal to either rate or pricing, something I'm very proud of.
So what all financing options do you have, Mark?
We do several different things. If you're purchasing a home, we can handle the purchase. If you're wanting to refinance your home, of course, rates are at the lowest they've been in the last 3 years. We do a lot of refinancing. If you're building a home, we can handle the entire process from breaking ground to the final close.
Do you sleep with your phone?
Wes, if you want to reach me, you can call me at my office phone, which is 256-562-1000. But always remember, I sleep with my cell phone at night. That number is 256-656-5936.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday night, expect a partly cloudy sky. Low temperatures going to be falling into the upper 60s heading into the overnight. For your Tuesday, scattered showers and thunderstorms possible mainly in the afternoon. Otherwise, we'll sit under a partly cloudy sky. High temperatures going to be topping out in the mid to upper 80s for the afternoon. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Online at 977ESPN.com.
Stream them online.
Call in.
It's an important job, and it's an vital organization.
Tweet in and join in. We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You need to be more like a dog. Like what you guys are doing. You've got your fingertip on the pulse of your listeners. You guys know what they're talking about.
Be a dog.
God bless the show. You are the Messiah.
We need more dogs.
This is the best show on radio.
The big dog, Thom Abraham, is here with you.
Hey, I see you, dog.
So settle in and get your bark on.
That's my dog.
Now live, here he is, the big dog, Thom Abraham.
How you doing? 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 How you doing?
Look, I don't speak Spanish.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho.
Do you know who I am?
I mean, that guy sounds like El McPherson farting into Miles Davis' trumpet.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond?
Get off my lawn.
I have to drag my Yankee ass out of here.
And welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Thom Abraham Show. This segment of the show is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford and the service team at Woody Anderson Ford, bringing us Thom Luganbill each and every week for 5 years now. They are not only experts in the service of Ford and other makes, but they also use genuine Ford and Motorcraft parts on every Ford service job. Tire rotations, wheel alignments, brake jobs, and oil changes to engine tune-ups and training work. The service department and the Quick Lane Tire and Auto Center have got you covered. Check them out, Woody Anderson Ford, corner of Sparkman and Jordan Lane. Go to WoodyAndersonFord.com to learn more. That's WoodyAndersonFord.com. By the way, Charlie Plott in the text window says, I was in Tuscaloosa. Your Mill Road assessment is spot on. The offense doesn't fit him. That's on the coaches. I'm saying Tommy Reese is calling an offense like he wishes that Tyler Buckner was in there. It's like he's got the Tyler Buckner offense, and he's got Jalen Milroe playing quarterback in it. We are joined now by a guy that had a very interesting game, a game I watched wall to wall. I thought it was a great game on Saturday between Ole Miss and Tulane. He, of course, is Tom Luganville, ABC and ESPN, and he is on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Lugs, welcome in. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. Good afternoon. How are you?
Fantastic. I watched that game with great interest. I was trying to get a feel for, if the quarterback was in there, Michael Pratt was in there, how that game would have went. Now, he doesn't play defense. They'd give up 37 points. It sounds like you think that game would have been a lot closer. Maybe even Tulane pulls that out if Pratt plays in that game. Explain it.
Well, that was an incredibly deceptive score. That score turned into that score with 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And right. I think the reason why I say that about Michael Pratt is what they lost by not having him was the element of quarterback run. Designed quarterback run, extended created plays by Michael Pratt. He is really, really good. But the other reason why I say that is for basically 3/4, if not 80% of the game, Tulane whipped Ole Miss up front on both sides of the ball. Ole Miss couldn't run it worth a lick. They couldn't protect Jackson Dart until late in the fourth quarter. And then, the push that Tulane was getting in their run game on offense was shocking. I mean, the size discrepancy between the two teams up front, particularly Tulane's offensive line and how big Ole Miss is on defense, it didn't matter. And so I thought it was a really hard-fought game. Lane made a judgment call that, I think it could have gone either way on 4th and 2 there, where he decided to go for it, and his quarterback makes a great play, avoiding the free rusher and finding Michael Trigg for the touchdown. But he could have probably kicked the field goal there, too, and they still would have, likely been, fairly safe. But it was a great game, but I think Ole Miss has a long way to go.
Well, I wonder about the SEC having a long way to go because that game and then Auburn pulling it out late against Cal, those were the only two SEC wins against P5s this week as 3 more teams went down, including, of course, Alabama at Texas A&M getting eviscerated by Miami, Vandy losing to Wake Forest in a game that, it's not like Wake Forest is at the top of the ACC. That puts the
Mississippi
SEC.
State won, at least.
Oh, Mississippi State did what? The SEC now is 3-6 in 9 games against other Power 5 schools. What is going on here? Is this too small of a sample size, or are we looking at something happening right now where the SEC is just off this year?
I think the SEC has been performing poorly in the sense that when they've gone out in these games, they've made far more errors, far more penalties, far more turnovers than the opposition has. I think they've just been outplayed. It's been one of those deals where they have had too many of those first game, second game hiccups and snafus that can cost you a football game. And I think we saw that with Florida State and LSU. There's no doubt we saw it with them. Look at Alabama on Saturday. I mean, I just point to 3 very simple things. 10 penalties, 2 of which negated touchdowns. All right? You give up 2 huge explosive plays. And that those 2 things right there, and then you commit 2 turnovers. I mean, there's your football game. I think the only thing that stood out to me about that game was how powerful and competent and productive Texas was in their offensive and defensive front. Not that I didn't think they were going to be a good team, but at times that they looked dominant against an Alabama team. But I just think a lot of this has been cleaner play versus poorer play. And Auburn got away with it the other night. I mean, they turned the ball over 4 times, only have 250 total yards, and played lights-out defense, but they got the win. And I think they're going to be a slow-burn team. They're going to be a team that you're going to have to look at them and watch them and see them make little, small, incremental improvements each and every week. They're not good enough to just jump on the field and and light the world on fire, at least not right now on offense. But if they keep improving, I think that's what you can expect from Auburn.
Yeah, and the thing that you wonder about this Texas team is, are they going to do what Texas teams in the past have done, where they've looked really good at times and then all of a sudden they lay an egg, in 2 or 3 games. So now we got to look for the consistency. But, man on man, just Anthony Hill, the defensive end, the freshman, just owning Proctor. That was good on good. I don't know if that was a matchup you guys had in the Under Armour game or not, but those are yeah. So those are 2 guys, those are 2 dudes right there, and Anthony Hill pretty much owned Proctor most of the night. That was kind of stunning to see.
Well, that's what happens when you have to play as a freshman offensive lineman. The adjustment on that side is far greater and much more of a steep learning curve and adjustment than just being turned loose on defense and being the better athlete between the two. And I thought that Texas, not just with Anthony Hill, but with those 2 big guys on the inside, they did a lot of different things up front that created some confusion. They congested the gaps. There weren't areas where Alabama didn't have something to contend with on every single play. I thought their front controlled the game. And Anthony Hill is going to be a star, but that was a mismatch. You could have lined up a junior on him that's playing the same position, and you probably would have had similar results against a freshman offensive lineman.
And a lot is being made about the sheer size of the Alabama offensive line, but you got to mix a little agility in there too, because what I'm seeing is an offensive line that is very big but not very agile. And it's not like you're lining up foot-to-foot splits and running a wedge. You know what I mean? It's not like you're just going down the field that way. Yeah. These guys are not showing a lot of agility right now, at least in this game against better competition. And at times last week against that bastard front that Middle plays, they kind of gave them a hard time as well. And sometimes, 360 pounds looks great in the, in the program, but, give me 315 that can move.
Well, that can move, and then I think also you can help create space and you can help create creases by what you're doing, whether it's backfield action, jet sweep action, doing something to influence the defense to go somewhere that you want them to go, where the ball's going to go opposite. I didn't see any of that type of creativity. I was flat out stunned that Alabama, I don't know if I saw them maybe more than once actually force Texas to defend quarterback run. Like, why wouldn't Alabama come out with who Jalen Milroe is and run quarterback counter, quarterback lead, zone read, have him pull it a few times, have him give it a few times, at least get Texas on their heels. They never had to defend that. And that really, really surprised me.
Absolutely mind-boggling to me. I wrote it off last week as to being like, why go to page 2 if you're beating somebody, for 55 points. I thought we'd see some creativity. This was so pedestrian in terms of the play calling. That's why I said not only were they outplayed, but they were outcoached, because when you looked at Steve Sarkisian's play calling, it was like men and boys versus what he was calling versus what Tommy Rees was doing. They did not create any kind of stress at all on that defense. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're calling Tyler Buckner's offense. If you want Ty Simpson to be the quarterback, then put Ty Simpson in there. Yeah. If you don't know how to call an offense that fits this kid's skill set, a little more option, a little more on the perimeter, a little more called runs for him. It seemed like, and the running game is not so dynamic that they couldn't play 8 guys near the line of scrimmage and say, okay, let's see Jalen Milroe hit an open guy. And often he was unable to do that.
Correct. He was unable to do that. I was surprised. And I think by forcing him to play from within the pocket, you're really hamstringing him, because he's a guy that's creative. He's athletic. Like, I was surprised we didn't see a lot of naked and misdirection to get him out of the pocket. So if the pass isn't there, you could take off and run. It was bizarre. I kind of felt like you keep saying Tyler Buckner. I keep saying Ian Book, the guy that he coached at Notre Dame. That's right. What the game plan looked like. And they're just. I don't know if it was necessarily fair to the kid. It's clear that the guy's got a long way to go in the passing game. So if he does, what's his greatest trait, and how do we utilize it and implement it in the game plan on a series in and series out basis? So at least the opposition goes, we better have an extra hat in the box for this guy, because they're going to run it at us. And I said that to you last week. I was like, I bet you Texas all week long was sitting there working against quarterback run, and they're probably halfway through that game going, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
They're not even challenging us.
Now, you need to testify for our listeners, because I know there's guys out there that are thinking right now, oh, Tom and Lugs have been talking about this all weekend long. We have not discussed this at all. And I said the exact, I did a commentary about this that's running all day today, and then I opened the show with the same comments, and you and I are singing from the same hymn book here. But you and I have not talked about this at all. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out what we're looking at here.
No, I don't think so. And again, I think that what this means is you have a very short leash if you're Jalen Milroe this week versus USF. Yeah. I think you got to bring him in, and you got to say, you got to play better. You've got to play better. And he's got to know that and got to recognize that. And then Tommy Reese and the staff, and certainly I think, got to do a better job of accentuating his strengths and masking his weaknesses. I thought last week they masked his strengths and accentuated his weaknesses.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and Nick Saban admitted that he was close to pulling them, and then he engineers that touchdown drive, throws a good deep ball and a touchdown drive that puts Alabama up by 16-13 before, the defense was just totally shredded by Quinn Ewers, quarterback, who does not throw the ball well down the field, and yet he was 3 of 5 for 2 touchdowns and averaged 21 yards of completion on balls over 20 yards. That's not his game typically. But you were a quarterback in college, so explain to listeners, because I just said that the easiest ball to throw of all of them is the deep ball. And people say, well, he throws a nice beat, but they started throwing deep more and more. But that's like when there's the least amount of stress or read or anything, right? The deep ball, going back and just heaving it up there to a wide receiver sprinting down the sideline, probably the easiest of all passes that a quarterback has to throw.
Well, it's easiest to identify because if there's only a single safety in the middle of the field, you're not threatened by that guy coming off of the hash and interfering with a one-on-one scenario on the outside. So, yes, from that perspective, it's one of the easier progressions and one of the easiest pre-snap identifications, but it's also, from a percentage standpoint, one of the lowest completion percentage throws in all of football. And, Nick Saban said it last week when they made some of those deep throws against Middle Tennessee State, and he said, well, we made progress there, but as we start playing an upper-level competition, those windows are going to really, really narrow. And that's when you got to figure out, can you make a throw essentially through the eye of a needle? I mean, that moon shot that Quinn Ewers threw that looked like Jeff Blake from the Cincinnati Bengals,
yeah,
that thing came down, and Xavier Worthy could have been standing in the end zone holding a Home Depot paint bucket, and the ball would have dropped right inside of it.
Yeah.
And Jalen Milroe can't make that throw right now.
You know who else throws that ball is Aaron Rodgers. That's an Aaron Rodgers deal. You throw it up there like that and allow your guy to adjust. Now, Nick Saban said something in the interview in the press conference just before the show, or actually the first 15 minutes of my show, and people are going to jump all over this because they're going to say that Nick Saban said that his offensive line is soft. This is what he said, and this is the way I perceive it. I want your thought on it.
I think we're too soft setting in the line.
Too soft setting in the line. He's not saying his linemen are soft, right? He's saying they're not punching at the line. They're just dropping back into a pass set softly, allowing the defensive line to kind of come at them. He's not saying the guys are soft. He's saying the scheme is soft. Is that correct?
Well, and I think he's also referencing how they're coming off the ball. The initial pop, the initial punch, the initial...
There's no punch,
aggression, that's what he's referencing. He's not saying his players are soft. He doesn't like how they're coming off the ball and how they're starting to play.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Now, well, everybody is freaking out. I don't think, first of all, I don't think that it's out of line to say Alabama's only shot to make the playoffs, especially in this SEC, is now to run the table. I mean, they have to win the SEC championship as a 12-1 team, then they're automatically in the playoffs. I don't see, unless there's carnage everywhere, I don't see a scenario where they could go, 11-2 with an SEC championship, even over an unbeaten Georgia team, and still slip in to the playoffs. What do you think about that?
Well, again, I think you hit the nail on the head. We don't know what's going to happen with everybody else. Right. I think that, as good and competitively balanced as the Pac-12 is, when they all start playing each other, they're all going to knock each other off.
Right.
And so that's going to have an impact. Where you don't have that impact right now, there's 8 Pac-12 teams in the top 25. So I think we need to see, what type of role does Penn State play in all of this as it relates to the Big Ten? And, does LSU recover? Does Alabama, settle in at quarterback and find an answer? These are all things that could be revealed in a positive manner or a negative manner as it relates to the SEC over the coming weeks. But I think at the end of the day, it goes back to what we talked about initially. And, you got to start playing better football, regardless of if you have good players and good teams. If you play bad football, you're subject to lose every week.
Right. When you look at the top 10, because Alabama's 10th now in these polls, I mean, you got to really take all of this with a total grain of salt. I mean, these polls are so worthless right now because, in all fairness, what we know about these teams in the top 10 is this, in my opinion. We know that Florida State's better than LSU, and we know that Texas is better than Alabama. I don't know anything about Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State. Michigan and Ohio State are sleepwalking through cupcake games. We don't know anything about any of these other teams, Notre Dame yet, in terms of who they've played. We just don't know. Alabama would also be 2-0, and they'd still be number 3 in the country. I mean, if they were playing any of these other schedules. That's all we know is the team you're seeing this week, Florida State, has a real win on their schedule, and so does Texas. That's all we really know, right? I mean, I don't know about Michigan. They are not looking great beating these cupcakes, and they got Bowling Green this week. I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, how about SC? SC's played San Jose State, Nevada, and Stanford, and Nevada just got beat 31-7 by Idaho.
Right.
So again, we got a long ways to go there with some of those teams. Even Colorado right now. Colorado's going to get a win versus Colorado State. Then it's going to get really real. You're not going to be playing Jeff Sims at quarterback anymore, and so we'll find out about them. There's so much to be unveiled here, and you're right. You look at the first 4 weeks of Michigan's schedule; they're so dominant as a football team to have so many answers that a chipmunk could have coached that team through the first 4 weeks. And so, I think I do believe the one team though that looks like they could potentially be legit is Notre Dame. I think the addition of Sam Hartman, that run game, that offensive line, elite linebacker play that can be used as pass rushers. They went into Carter Finley and dismantled that team that is a 9-win team that generally year in and year out, and that's a hard place to play. And so I was impressed by them. But I got Florida State this week. I just got done doing a 2-game break on them. They are legit.
They're good.
They are really, really, really good. Better than I thought.
Yeah, they look like they're going to be really good. Thom will be on the Florida State and BC game, 11 o'clock Central Time. Get the day started on Saturday. All right, before I let you go, Mel Tucker. I mean, he's done. I mean, people were like, "Oh, no, Mel Tucker. Maybe that's the guy that's going to replace Nick Saban down the road," and blah blah blah. He's done. I mean, I don't know that Mel Tucker coaches again. I mean, he's already admitted to some of this stuff. Unbelievably, of all people, the woman that you brought in to talk about sexual harassment. I mean, it's mind-boggling that somebody who makes $8-9 million a year could risk it all. I mean, Mike Price thinks this is stupid. I mean, you risk it all for something like this kind of behavior. I can't fathom it, but it seems like he's done. And in Michigan State, with everything else that's gone on in Michigan State over the last 5 years, with trainers and all that other stuff, of all places, Michigan State, right? And I don't know what kind of job it is. This could be a 10-year hole for Michigan State right now. What's your thoughts?
Oh yeah, it could be. I mean, they've got to really sit down and take stock and audit what is transpiring there. The people, the background that they're doing on people, something has got to change administratively because this is going on far too often there, and it's far too lingering.
Yeah, it's just mind-boggling. And is it a good job going forward? I mean, if you're one of these guys that's a prospective guy going forward, and you look at who they're going to be able to reach out and touch, it almost seems like the place is kind of toxic now.
Yeah, potentially. Especially if your leaders of your revenue sport are involved in this type of scenario.
Yeah, that's just bad news. All right, Florida State and BC. Is BC any good at all? I mean, do they give Florida? Florida State sometimes goes north and struggles a little bit. This is going to be a nice little test, I think, for them to go and just take care of business and get after BC. Because I don't know, is BC any good at all from what you've seen?
They lost to Northern Illinois in the opener at home, and then barely squeaked by Holy Cross last week. And a lot of it is self-inflicted. I was talking with all these teams that are playing poorly in the first couple of games. I mean, Boston College has 21 penalties in the first 2 weeks, and the opposition is converting over 50% of the third down. So defensively, they can't get off the field. You do that to yourself, you're not going to win many football games.
Yeah. All right. As always, great stuff. Thom Luginbill has been our guest every Monday, brought to us by Woody Anderson Ford. Lugs, I appreciate you. Safe travels up north.
Appreciate it. Thanks, man. See you.
All right. Thank you. All right. We're going to break in here. We are wide open the rest of the way. So if you want to jump in, you can go ahead and jump in. We're taking your phone calls. I got some other stuff that I haven't gotten to. But so far, I've given you a decent amount. So there's no reason for you not to get in and react to all of this. And we haven't really gotten much into Auburn. We do have, of course, Justin Ferguson joining us every Tuesday to talk about the Auburn win over there. And it's a good win. It's a gutty win in a game that they did not play great in. But it's a gutty win to go out there and get a win. And it's better to be 2-0 than 1-1. That is for sure. We'll be back with more after this on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
At Bryant Bank, we recognize your time is valuable. And easy, secure access to your finances is essential. That's why we provide the financial tools you need to manage your money on the go and make life a bit easier. At Bryant Bank, we're here to help with instant debit cards, Apple Pay, person-to-person payments, and more. Bryant bankers want to show you how beneficial our digital banking services can be. Learn more at bryantbank.com. Bryant Bank. Live legendary. Member FDIC.
Gunner's Landing is one of the Tennessee Valley's finest golf experiences. Just 35 minutes from downtown Huntsville, Gunner's Landing's 18-hole championship jewel is open to the public 7 days a week. Located in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, Gunner's Landing offers you a golf experience like no other. With beautiful Lake Gunnersville views throughout the round, Gunner's Landing is golf the way nature intended. Gunner's Landing's club repair shop offers a full range of services, including re-gripping and adjusting the lofts and lies of your clubs, even putters. Since the work is done in-house, your clubs will be returned to you in a timely manner. Unmatched in the North Alabama area, it is Gunner's Landing. Schedule your tee time today at gunnerslanding.com. That's gunnerslanding.com.
With us today, Dr. Tracy Lowry of Best Vein Care of Huntsville.
When we evaluate a patient and they indeed have significant venous disease, most third-party payers, private insurance, Medicare, require us to treat every patient conservatively at least 90 days. Conservative treatment includes increasing ambulation, elevation of the legs, and the wearing of compression stockings. It's very common for folks to come see us in March or April wanting to have their veins fixed before they go into swimsuits starting in June. When we see someone in March or April, they're going to require at least 90 days of conservative treatment before we can even go to the insurance carrier to get permission to treat their veins. So if you think you have a venous problem, now is the time to come in and get a free screening so we can determine whether or not you need something evaluated. If you have a vein problem or you think you may have a vein problem, now's the time to contact us at bestveincarehuntsville.com.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
The new favorite place for delicious Mexican food is Corralejos Mexican Grill in Huntsville. Check out their reviews on Facebook and you'll see what people are raving about. Enjoy drink specials all day Monday through Thursday, like house margaritas for $3.99 and 12-ounce drafts for $2. Even vegan-friendly entrees on Monday starting at 5. Corralejos Mexican Grill, 1658 Old Monrovia Road in Huntsville. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram to stay updated on their specials.
Do you want your next party to be something you'll remember? Then head on down to Flosa Premier to book your next big bash. Birthday? Corporate meeting? Maybe just a family reunion so you can get your cousin Kyle back into the basketball court so you can beat him at basketball. I have no idea. Flow is fun for all ages looking for high-flying excitement, arcade fun, and tasty snacks to satisfy your hunger. Whether you have 10 friends or 25, Flow is jam-packed with something fun for everyone. Get jumping with Flow off South Parkway in Drake or head over to flowhuntsville.com to book your next party now.
It just works. Picture this. You're at home, doing whatever it is you do. Then, pow! The power goes out. Then what? Well, at my house, life goes on. We have a Generac automatic home standby generator from Current Electrical and Generator Services. For your home security and peace of mind, get a free personal consultation on how a Generac automatic home standby generator can protect you. Current Electrical and Generator Services. Call or visit us on the web at HuntsvilleGenerators.com. You've got the power.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday night, expect a partly cloudy sky. Low temperatures going to be falling into the upper 60s heading into the overnight. For your Tuesday, scattered showers and thunderstorms possible mainly in the afternoon. Otherwise, we'll sit under a partly cloudy sky. High temperatures going to be topping out in the mid to upper 80s for the afternoon. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Listen each Friday to the Woody Anderson Ford High School Football Scoreboard Show, powered by the Huntsville Sports Commission on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Steve Moulton from The Drive. Be sure and join us today from 5 to 7 with Wes Neighbors and me. Now back to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Segment of the Thom Abraham Show is brought to you by Alumni Hall and Bridge Street. For all your Alabama and Auburn gear, it's Alumni Hall. From gifts to titillating items to the coolest clothing, they've got it all at Alumni Hall. It's right next to the Kona Grill across from Connor's Steakhouse. Look the park. Go to Alumni Hall in Bridge Street and get your gear there. All right, phone lines are open if you want to jump in, 256-576-4977. Let me remind you that tomorrow I will be at Baumhauer's doing the show from noon until 2. I'd love to see you out at Baumhauer's. Come on out. You have a chance to win Bob Baumhauer's tickets to one of the two biggest games of the season. It's the Alabama Crimson Tide Redemption Tour -1 game now, but you can win tickets to either the Tennessee or LSU game, courtesy of Baumhauer's and 97.7 ESPN The Zone. All you got to do is head on down to Baumhauer's, come and see me tomorrow, and get registered to win. Every week you visit the show, you enter to win. The more you go, the better chance you have to win. You can enter one time each week. Come down to Baumhauer's. We'll pull the winner the week before the Tennessee game for the Tennessee tickets. Everybody who's in the box stays in the box for the LSU game. So you can win in the LSU game as well. And By the way, not only was there more Miami fans in the stands yesterday in Los Angeles than there were Charger fans, some of the Charger fans that were in the stands were AI robots. I mean, this is one of the freakiest stories going out there right now, is that there were artificial intelligence robots in the stands, and people were in the stands, and then all of a sudden they looked over and there's like a row of AI robots in seats. I mean, I don't know. I guess they had to buy those seats or whatever because there was so many Dolphin fans at the game, so they added some of these AI robots. But apparently, it has to do with a movie that is coming up called The Creator, and they were shooting scenes for the movie, so they threw these robots in the stands that were like walking around in the stands and things like that. And it was really creepy. I mean, it's really weird.
I'm going to need Will Smith to hang out with me. I'm not after iRobot. I can't do it. Nope, I won't do it. You got to see that movie, by the way.
Who's the bald chick in that movie? I mean, so are all AI robots bald because the chick is bald? They got these head things on that look like headphones. And the dude, did you see the one that shows like from the side? It shows a picture of a black dude with the thing on and he's bald. It looks like Louis Riddick. Doesn't the black dude look like Louis Riddick? I'm like, what is Louis Riddick? Is he? Yeah, I wondered about Louis Riddick. Maybe he's an AI dude. I don't know.
Tom Brady's a robot. I know that for a fact. Yeah, Tom Brady can't be human. Aaron Rodgers is probably a robot or an alien, either or, depending on what he's into.
I like Aaron Rodgers. I've always been an Aaron Rodgers fan, from my days as a Packer fan as well. Number 2 team for me.
I'll have to send it to you. Did you see that he obviously lost a bet because he lost a bet to, was it C.J. Uzomah, and Cal lost to Auburn because Cal lost to Auburn. He had to wear Auburn gear and stuff like that.
So he didn't get the points?
No,
he didn't get the 6.5.
He didn't get the 6.5.
At least I got that one right. I got that one right. I said Auburn would. I think if you go back and check the tape, I think I said Auburn wins by like 4, but they don't cover. Is what I said on that deal, I believe.
Yeah, but, I took Auburn. Yeah, I didn't believe in them, but I took Miami though. Defense saved them. That was a really good game for the Dolphins.
That was a good call. Yeah, that was a good call. All right, let's go to LSU Lynch. Braves winning, by the way, 5-2 now over the Phillies in the top of the 5th inning. Lynch, welcome to the show. How are
you? Look here, Michigan fan. Y'all just need to go to the strip club, spend all your money, and still leave alone like a loser with your schedule. Like I told you 2 weeks, there ain't no reason to listen to a Michigan fan. If he won't talk about eating Mexican food and cooking his quiche, keep on, son. Y'all don't play nobody. You hear me? Number 2, we're going to skip Alabama. Number 3, what really hurt me with this game you gave us with the Titans and the Saints, which I'm not a Saints fan.
Yeah.
But, Tom, 16-15. I mean, come on, man. I mean, what is your...
Was it 16-15 or was it 18... Was it 18? Was it 15-16? Was it 16-15 or 18?
16-15.
16-15? Yeah, what a bad guy. 3 interceptions for Ryan Tannehill. I mean, jeez.
But at a 2.5-point spread, that is just, oh, Lord.
Yeah.
That's just incredible. Let me say this about my LSU team because I'm gonna hate on them too. We just played, Grambling State, which they threw for over 330 yards last week, but they still a HBCU school, And I still don't like our pass rush defense, and I still don't like Jalen Daniels because, that boy can't throw over, they've got him on 10-yard passes, apparently. I want Nussmeier to come in there, and like you said, y'all talking about Milroe. I think Jaden Daniels needs to back off. We need to prepare this young kid right here because he can throw better. And he can set to me. Because
Nussmeier kid, yeah.
I mean, because what's embarrassing right now in the SEC West, you got Arkansas, you got Auburn, you got the 2 Mississippi teams, and then you got Alabama, us, and then the Texas A&M. That's embarrassing. That is embarrassing.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's
embarrassing. Give me your thoughts right there.
On in terms of the schedule?
No, in terms of the SEC West.
The SEC West right now? Yeah. I just think, I'm not going to get caught up in standings. All I know is they played 9 games against P5s and the SEC's 3-6. I mean, that's bothersome. I mean, it's Texas A&M getting whipped like that by Miami. I mean, that seed has got to get heated up now, big time. I mean, they're not supposed to go in there and get whipped the way they got whipped. Now, Alabama getting whipped really by Texas, it could have been even worse. I mean, on some reason, you say, well, it could have been better. Alabama could have won it. I thought when Alabama took that lead 16-13, I thought they were getting ready to pull away, and yet they turn around and get whipped down the stretch in that game. So when you look at those games like that, Ole Miss, I'm not sure Ole Miss beats Tulane if the Pratt kid plays. If Michael Pratt's playing, Ole Miss is probably getting beat by Tulane. It's disturbing right now. And, of course, LSU got beat by Florida State. I think Florida State's one of the best 2 teams in the country right now, probably. Personally, I would have Georgia based on their history right now because they really haven't played anybody either. And I would have FSU because they beat a real team at LSU. I would have Michigan and Ohio State down a little bit further. I'd have, I'll be honest with you. I would put Texas 3. Right now, I would put Texas 3, then Michigan, then Ohio State. Because, how can you know anything about these teams?
Well, Michigan has not beat a ranked team. Texas, they were ranked
Michigan
number 11. Alabama's number 3, and
right. Come on. Michigan has not beat a ranked team. Michigan has not beat a Power 5 team. Michigan is playing bad FCS teams or FBS teams, and now they got Bowling Green coming in this week. And then they play their first conference game against Rutgers. You know what I mean? Michigan's schedule is an absolute joke. Now, going to Nebraska, that would be a legit win if you go there and you play well. A legit win at Minnesota. I think Minnesota's that's like playing teams in the middle of the SEC too. But Michigan, we really don't know until the 2 of their last 3 games at Penn State and then at home against Ohio State.
Yeah, it's just crazy right now. And I'll close out this because I want some other callers to be able to get in. My Niners is coming to your house October 15th. And I hope
they are. I didn't know you were a Niners fan. I didn't know. I looked at that game. I didn't know you were a Niners fan.
Yankee boy, you don't listen to me sometimes. You don't listen to me. So, yeah. But, hey, thanks for taking my phone call. It's a great show. Y'all call in. Come on.
So I've been into this ex-post battle a little bit with Joe Rexroad. And I'm sitting here. I had put a post up. I think, I can't believe nobody asked the question about whether or not there should be a QB competition this week. And we're going back and forth. And he's like, between who? And I'm like, but anybody. You got to be kidding me. I can't believe that, after this press conference. So we were going, Rexroad and I are going back and forth. And he thinks I'm an idiot. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you're a Milrow lover? And so finally, Mitch Light has to jump in there, from Athlons. And Mitch is a friend of mine from Nashville. And Mitch just jumped there and he goes, I think you guys are talking about different teams. So at the same time that Saban was having his presser, Vrabel was having his presser on the Titans. So Rexroad thought I was talking about the Titans, and I was talking about the Tide. And we're just laughing our ass off now that we were like, what are we talking about?
That's good. Mass communication. It sounds like me and you on a daily basis. It's okay.
It's typical. Yes, exactly. It's typical social media type reaction.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
That's what it is.
Yeah. It's like, that's not all it is. It's like, as soon as someone attacks you, boom, it's right at it. You know what I mean?
We're going back
without even looking at it, without proofreading it.
It's obvious. Because my post was, I can't believe nobody asked the question about a quarterback competition. So Rex was like, who? Who are we supposed to? Who? What are we going to do? We're going to go with Malik Willis? Who? I'm like,
the future is now, old man. Malik Willis.
Keith, the Michigan fan, is next. Keith, welcome to the show. How are you?
Doing all right, big dog. Hey, I was calling Friday, but I was on the highway and lost the signal,
Yeah, you were on the line.
But the guy who just called talking about Michigan fans.
Yeah.
He may not know this, but at the end of this year, we're going to be the only school. Well, we are the only school. We're the winningest program in college football. Mm-hmm. We will have over 1,000 wins. So whoever he pulls for, if it's LSU, is that who it is?
Yeah, he's LSU Lynch. Yeah.
That's what I thought you said. Yep.
But they've won three national championships since you won your last one, which was a half a one in '97.
Yeah, but the reason
that's a thing.
The reason why he has his new head coach from Notre Dame is because he decided that since the academics are so weak down here, he can come down here and get athletes.
Yeah,
even the Dr. Pepper commercial, to where the girl and the guy is breaking up, and you said what now?
I said it's a funny commercial. I saw that.
Yeah, it is a funny commercial, and she says we're going to out recruit y'all. He said, yeah, that's because your academics are weak.
Right.
Basically, yeah. So,
no.
And it's a true fact. I've been arguing that point for years. But anyway, I'm so glad that the evil empire went down.
Did you go to Michigan, by the way? Are you a Michigan grad?
I wish. I'll be making twice as much money before I retired if I did.
Okay.
But no, I went the hard way. I left Detroit and went to the military.
Oh, you went to the University of the USA. Okay.
Yes. I went to the military and did hard labor, basically, with in South Carolina, basic training, and then stationed at Fort Sill, Oklahoma for 3 years. Mm-hmm. Then Germany. So I've been around. But one thing, that's why I've always stated that I thought all young men, when they hit 18, they should at least do a year in the military. Maybe they can change it to, they don't have to do the full 3 years that I had to do. But, I did more than 3. I did several. But the thing is, when I got out of basic training and after 3 or 4 years, I felt like I can go anywhere in the world and get me a job because I've been up at 5 every morning working.
Yeah.
And that was in the military. We go to the fields for 3 weeks. That's every day.
I had a brother-in-law that was stumbling around. He was, graduated from high school. He was always getting in trouble. He was stumbling around, couldn't hold a job. But he was just kind of a knucklehead. And my wife's youngest brother. And when he was 20 or 21, he decided to join the Marines. And he came out of the Marines, and then he did after his active duty, he came out and he did
reserves.
The reserves for another 6 years or so. He was in the reserves, and this was 30 years ago, and his career in business turned out to be outstanding. He ended up working in Silicon Valley, and then he ended up owning a restaurant. And he ended up the only thing that's wrong with him now, and it totally the Marines totally turned his whole life around. If it wasn't for the military, he'd have been a bum his whole life. The only thing that's wrong with him now is his politics. He's really a bleeding heart liberal. I mean, he's lefty. I mean, he's lefty. He was a Bernie Sanders guy. He's a socialist, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, well, he saw a lot of things in the military, and especially going to different countries. And you look at America, but hey, that's a totally different subject. You know how I feel on a lot of issues, especially Tommy Tuberville. That just irks me so bad. That now it's over 300 officers. And I wish we could recall him and kick him out of office, but I don't know the state situation, how that works. But anyway, I just had to call and let him know that Louisiana Lynch or whatever, his coach came down here because academic standards are so weak. If y'all took Vandy out of the SEC, then y'all might as well be a junior college league.
Well, don't discredit Florida. No, Florida's a good academic school, and Auburn, and even Alabama ranks pretty high on a lot of lists. So it's not as bad as it's not that. It's not Ohio State. It's not Ohio State. I mean, come on, man.
I heard
it's not Michigan State.
You can get in Ohio State, but that's the same thing they say about Alabama too.
Yeah.
All right, Tom.
All right, man. Appreciate you. Ohio State, if you can fog a mirror, you can get in. The reality is, though, when you talk to Wolverine fans. And when you hear Wolverine fans talk, right, you would think that, they've won the most games and all that. They're going to be the first program to win 1,000 games and all this stuff. You would think that they've won multiple national championships. I mean, real national championships. They have finished the season number 1 in the AP poll exactly twice in their history, Grizz. 1997, when they were number 1 in the AP poll, and they were number 2 in the coaches poll. And 1948. That's it. 1948 and 1997. That's it. That's all their championships. End of story. I mean, that's it. Grumpy is next. Grumpy, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm just trying to be nice.
It's hard for a guy called Grumpy. It's hard for a guy called Grumpy, you know.
Yeah. You know, you can't with that scheduled. Michigan's got. You know, you can't have mundane without DAN. I say we change it from Wolverine Dan to Mundane Dan. When he called in a minute ago, he said, "Why am I calling?" And I thought he was asking you why he was calling. You need a snippet on that one. Like, I don't know. Why am I calling? But Tuberville's not the problem, but I'm not going to go there because this isn't a political show.
Well, they have that. There's that thing. You know what I mean? Where like one guy gets a lot more votes than the other guy. You know, they let him be in there. So that's it. You know, there's that thing.
Yeah, but hey, Auburn and Cal. I think it was. You were probably watching the Alabama game. I don't think it was over yet. On the clock, anyway. When they said Auburn's longest drive of the night was 5 plays, and I think that was with about 11 minutes to go in the third quarter. I mean, that was. You know, I watched the game, but it was still surprising to hear that up until the very end of the game, really, we had only put together 5 plays as our longest drive.
No, Alabama's game was way over, but we only missed because they were back-to-back on ESPN, so we only missed the first because I watched them both as well. We only missed the first about 5 minutes at most of the Auburn-Cal game. The rest of it was there. I was surprised how much they were.
Go ahead. I wouldn't be an Auburn fan if I didn't ask this question. But would you walk out of Bryant-Denny Stadium with 3.5 minutes to go if you weren't doing it didn't have obligations?
In a game where were they down by down by 10 points? No, I wouldn't anyway. I mean, I don't know why you would walk out anyway. I mean, where are you going? Where the hell are you going? Yeah. And you try to beat the crowd? Or it's a Saturday night. It's at 9 o'clock at night Central Time on a Saturday night. Where are you going? May have been a lot of the younger people maybe heading for the bars, heading for the parties or whatever. But I don't think real fans are leaving. I don't know why they would leave.
Walkers in that vomitorium. But okay. And also in 1965, Alabama's assistant head coach said, when we play teams, that was after Alabama won it in 61, 64, and 65, that same year, the assistant head coach said, when we play teams with equal talent to us, we win 50% of the time. We lose 50% of the time.
Right.
And that quote always stuck with me. And I think we're seeing more teams with Alabama's talent. Used to, you had big names like Texas. Now they have the same talent as Alabama. Michigan's not there yet.
They did, but they were also Texas has outstanding talent, but I thought Texas outcoached Alabama. All defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator. I mean, across the board, I thought they outcoached them. They were more creative. Sarkisian's play calling, it looked like he was playing chess while Kevin Steele was playing checkers. You know what I mean? That's what it felt like.
Yeah. Yeah. And on offense, I think Texas, with that receiving core they have, that receiving core is going to make them look good a lot, man.
Better receivers, better quarterback. Receivers, both better. Yeah. Alabama got zero pressure with their defensive line. They got no pressure with the defensive line for all intents and purposes. I think they only have 1 sack in the 2 games so far this season, or maybe 2 or something like that, without going looking it up. Three sacks in 2 games, and one of them was against Middle Tennessee.
And that's what I wanted you to ask Jimmy Stein last week, if that was going to be a problem. Like when we were at the Trash Pandas, that's exactly what I wanted to ask Jimmy Stein last week was, is this defensive line going to be able to make the kind of pressures that they were going to be able to do? And clearly you saw it in the game.
Yeah, and real quickly here, there's no shame in scheduling a team like Texas and losing to a team like Texas. They didn't have to schedule Texas, and they did. Michigan can learn something there. But there's no shame in losing to, and it's going to sound like I'm taking a jab, and I'll hang up, but there's no shame in losing to a better team. If Alabama and Texas played again, Texas would beat them. And
that's what it looks like right now.
A lot of Alabama fans can't take that, but a lot of them know, hey, yeah, you're right. We did play a better team. No shame in that.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Thanks for the call, Grumpy. That's a good job by you. I'm glad you mentioned that because I ran some numbers here, and I know I'm running out of time. But Alabama fan is just so spoiled because if you think about what is the standard, it's always to win the national championship, which is so unrealistic when you think about it. In my lifetime, today's my 63rd birthday. In my lifetime, Alabama has won 13 national championships, legit national championships, and it's not close. Talking about AP, national championship, it's not close with anybody else. In my lifetime, 13 national championships. And most other teams got 1, 2. We just talked about Michigan's got a half in my lifetime. Okay? That's 20% of the years that I have been alive. Alabama has won a national championship. Do you know what that means? That means 80% of the time, 80% of the seasons are considered a failure. And what a miserable world it is where you got to live with 80% failure rate. In fact, I'll go further. All right? I'm a Yankee fan. Thank God I got the Alabama and the Yankees. The Yankees have won 9 national championships in my lifetime. The hockey team I pull for, the Bruins, have won 3 national championships in 63 years. The Knicks have won 2 NBA titles in 63 years. And my beloved Cleveland Browns have won 1 NFL championship in the 63 years I've been alive. So the teams I pull for, Bama, Yankees, Bruins, Knicks, and Browns, have won a total of 28 championships. And if you take those 5 teams times 63 years, that's 315 seasons. I've been alive for 315 seasons, and my teams have won 28 championships. And that's a lot more than most because I'm a Bama and a Yankee fan. Okay? Do you realize that 28 championships in 315 seasons is 9%? So 91% of the time, if you tie your enjoyment of your teams to winning it all, 91% of the time, I feel like crap. I feel like it's a failure. And we kind of have, this is where it's gone with football, with college football especially. It used to be if you had a good season and you won a bowl game, you feel good about it. Yeah, somebody got named the mythical national championship, but you know what? We won the Sugar Bowl, went 10-2 and won the Sugar Bowl. Good year, Orangeboro. Won a big bowl game. And now everything is focused on winning it all, winning the championship. And the most successful team in the history of college football in terms of winning championships in the last 63 years has won 20% of the time. So 80% of the time, Alabama fans pissed off that it was a horrible season. That's how spoiled. I mean, I'm talking to an Auburn fan right there. How many championships has Auburn won in 63 years? 2? 1? 2010? Is that Auburn's only national championship in 63 years? 1. They won, I think, in 57, and they won in 2010? 1. Can you imagine year in and year out and year in and year out winning 1 in 63 years? Michigan fan, you won a half. Georgia's king of the hill right now. Georgia's got 3 since I've been alive. 3. Which means 95% of the time, Georgia fan, if your standard is winning a national championship, you feel like crap. LSU has won 3. You know? So this is the problem. When it's win them all or it's a disaster. You either win them all or it's a disaster.
Yeah, it's not like you're a Kansas fan or a Vandy fan. I don't know if you saw the Kansas game. I mean, they upset Illinois, and then they literally had a huge bunch of security guards surrounding the goalpost because they didn't want, the 15,000 people that were there for the game.
That's an upset over Illinois?
I guess so. I guess it was an upset. But yeah, they were just trying to make sure nobody was going to rush the field for, a Kansas game. It's not like you're a Kansas Jayhawks football, fan.
Yeah.
Calm down, you know what I mean?
So my goal in my mind is I got to change the way I think. Yeah. Just enjoy the season. You know what I mean?
Football.
So what if they go 11-2 and don't win a national championship? Just enjoy the season. It can't just be about if you win because you're disappointed 95% of the time. Come and see me at Baumhauer's tomorrow. Paul is next. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.